Did you have any other favorites growing up though, besides Viscera, or was he the number one?
Oh, Viscera was my favorite, but then I was pretty quick to realize that he like was not a spotlight guy.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, it just, I realized pretty quickly. I was like, oh, I only get to see him on Heat and Jacked. Oh, I said, and then so I was like, okay, well, I've started like other guys immediately Chris Jericho. I mean, you can even see my first like 4 years of wrestling. I just copy him because I didn't know what to do or who to be. Uh, he's one of my
Not a bad
biggest
guy to copy though.
influences. Look at what he's done. He's been wrestling for so long now. He's done everything you can do and then some. And it was
Everywhere.
definitely like a similar career path I wanted to follow too. I wanted to make sure that I did some stuff in Mexico, that I did some stuff in Japan, that I could, I wanted to be as worldly as he was because even when I, first started watching, they would talk about where he'd been. They wouldn't mention WCW, but they'd talk about how he'd been around the world. And I was just like, oh, and I felt like that didn't really come up with a lot of the other guys, even though it is also the case.
Mhm.
So that really inspired me. And yeah, his tights were always the freaking coolest. He had cool hair, cool jacket, sick music. I was like, oh, how could I not like this guy? But like first favorites were definitely Viscera, Chris Jericho, um, S.A. Rios. He was one of the other ones. I watched Heat. The first episode of Heat I watched, he was on. He had just won the lightweight title, like from Gilbert, like just to get it off him, like a couple weeks. I think the week before I started watching, and so he was light heavyweight champ, and I was like, oh, this guy's got a belt. Who's he? He's doing moonsaults and all this crazy stuff. I really liked Crash Holly. He was one of my first favorites. And then like as I started watching the other companies, immediately Rey Mysterio Jr., who's one of my heroes, Vampiro, and then in ECW it was like Tajiri and like Mikey Whipwreck. Who else? Oh no, Jerry Lynn for sure, for sure. Jerry Lynn was probably my favorite ECW guy. Ray and Vampiro and WCW, but I was mainly a WWF guy. But I mean, I don't know why I say mainly because I literally watched every second that aired every week. I would watch Raw, and then I would watch the re-airing of Nitro, and then I would watch Thunder on Wednesday, SmackDown on Thursday, ECW on Friday, and then I would watch Livewire, um, syndicated ECW, and Jacked or Metal. I would watch Metal in Spanish, and then on Sunday I would watch Superstars, Wow, and more syndicated ECW.
Wow, that's crazy.
Oh,
Because
and Heat, of course.
at this point in 2000-ish and leading into 2001, I was born in 91. So I was a little like, I would see ECW very rarely because I couldn't figure out when it was on. Like my brain, it couldn't process it. So it was very rare when I would get to see it. I just could never find it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like because I really liked Cartoon Fridays on Cartoon Network. Like I'm like a creature of habit. I like blocks of TV. Like I grew up as like a regular Simpsons Sunday Night Family. Like just stuff like that. Like it's kind of I don't know. Life used to be different, as I'm sure you remember. A lot of if nice little happy families. You revolve some of your stuff around TV and sitting as a family watching this show or that show. And ECW was like again, I can't even remember when it was on, and I don't forget much. I feel like it was like 9 at night on Fridays on TNN, and then like super random times on UPN for me. And it would be like hardcore TV or something from like a gym that I didn't recognize. Like it didn't have the TNA like flair to it, or the TNN.